Because we don't understand how light formed, it is difficult to estimate its probability. The likelihood of a complex molecule like DNA being created by random collisions of atoms in a primordial ocean is fantastically small. In an infinite universe, it would happen in some places, but they would be very far apart. If we want to find advanced intelligent life, our best bet is to listen for radio signals.
Look up to the stars and the forest that surround. Do you see them? Do you hear them? Are they there? SpacedOutRadio.com presents S4 with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper and friends. Also, take the time to join the Forest Moon Paranormal Facebook group.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque.
Conspiracy, Area 51, Dogman, Ghosts, Cover-Ups, UFOs. The hidden will reveal itself.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go live on S4 with Eric Cooper.
you hear me? Can you hear me through your headphones? Is it working? You can hear? Can you hear me? It is working though, yeah? So we've got output now. Alright. Can anybody in the chat room hear what I'm saying? Please send me a message saying you can. I just can't hear anything here.
So, folks, tonight we are talking paranormal bitches and moans. Ain't that right, Corey?
It is. All the things that are going on in the paranormal that just don't seem to be right.
Top one.
Yeah, good to see you, Christopher. So, bear with us here for a minute. We're still trying some tech stuff. There, let's see if that works any better. I still can't hear anything. Why does this just not seem to be working right? We had it working last night with Skype.
Yeah, now, okay, so the top three microphones real thick. The second one should be cable output,
VB
VB, AV, whatever.
audio.
Should be speakers real thick.
The very bottom should be speakers real tech. Because I had that, and that's when I was getting the.
We have speakers up on where the cable output should be.
I've got cable. Okay, so
You got other microphones and sources. Microphone, real tech, clarity, microphone.
yep,
Second one should be cable output,
VB
VB.
Auto Virtual MME.
Right. And speakers, real tech,
Realtek HD audio output.
I've got real tech high definition audio, Windows direct sound. All right. Am I coming through output?
Yep.
Okay. Then it's something with your microphone.
Something with this computer.
Okay.
Apparently the Skype it works.
All right. Well, good evening, folks. We're having technical issues here, and we'll figure them out before Sunday. Tonight, we're actually going to sit and do some bitching about the paranormal in general. And what makes Forest Moon Paranormal different? Are you able to talk?
Yeah.
And it's coming through?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. So, what makes our team different than the norm? And yeah, there's going to be a lot of ranting in this show because Corey and I see eye to eye as far as these other wishy-washy teams out there that will run into a client's home. And here's the thing: people need to understand. If you call in a paranormal team, for one, you need to explain to them you want the problem taken care of. You're not here so they can get a pretty little picture and a cool sounding EVP and then have a nice day. Bye. Because most of these teams, they watch paranormal TV. I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, they watch paranormal TV and they just think, "Wow, I want to be a ghost hunter." Well, Forest Moon's not a ghost hunter. We're an emergency response paranormal team, which means we come in and take care of the problem. In fact, we have other teams that call on us to take care of their problem because they don't know how to do it. Because there's nobody out there that teaches you how to do it. It sure in the hell ain't in paranormal TV. Is it, Corey?
No, there's definitely paranormal TV is a problem. I mean, they don't teach you how to do anything. They just, everything is staged in those things, and then they come in, they stir everything up, and they leave. Just it's basically what they're teaching. And it's the same thing that these other paranormal groups do when they go out there and do their thing. They go in, they stir something up, and then they leave because they don't know how to go in and actually investigate, remove a problem. Instead, all they can hear, all they can do is just create issues because that's all they've learned from the TV.
Well, what they don't understand, and what some of them don't want to understand, because some of them do it because they want their 15 minutes of fame, and that's the wrong answer. But the other ones, they don't understand that paranormal TV is it's entertainment. It's not there to educate you. It's not there to show you how to do anything. It's entertainment. It's for ratings. Half the time, and we have people in Forest Moon Paranormal in the group that have actually been a part of these investigations with the TV show and can attest that, yeah, it's all staged. It's a director yanking on a door. It's one of the cast kicking a rock, and then they're all going, "Oh my God, did you see that?" It doesn't work that way. So, how do you fix the problem? Education. Education's just a small part of the fix for it. So, what Forest Moon Paranormal does that don't want to listen to what we tell them. So we tell them, you know what, you're not using your Ouija board correctly. Ouija board is nothing more than a tool, but if you don't use protection while you're using it and shield yourself from it and close it properly, those are the three keys. If they don't follow the instruction, it's going to come back. So you know, there's a lot to it. Now, on the alien abduction side, you got a lot of paranormal teams, and you know, I've contacted about 2,000 different paranormal teams and groups and whatnot. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say out of 2,000 paranormal teams, only about 20 out of 2,000 are even remotely interested in UFOs or alien abduction or Bigfoot and cryptids. Because to them, that's not the definition of paranormal. You say paranormal to a majority of them, 99.9% of them, it's only ghosts and hauntings. Well, that's sorry. I'm going to be rude tonight, but that's sorry. Because an alien abductee has just as much crisis and trauma as anyone that's being pushed down the stairs by a spirit or scratched by an entity. Only difference is we can remove all that. We can't stop an alien abduction. They're stuck with it. The best thing I can do for them, and the best healing for them, is letting them know they're not alone, they're not crazy, and what we're working on is getting a team of counselors that will mediate with peer support groups, and they're out there. You got to look for them. There's one here in Washington that I've actually talked to, but they don't deal with the crisis aspect. They deal with contactees. Now, what's the difference between a contactee and an abductee? Let's talk about that for a second. Contactees. These are people that actually meet benevolent aliens and have a conversation with them. And it's a pleasant experience. Whereas an abductee gets taken against their will, in some cases tortured, in some cases, poked, prodded, whatnot, and returned. And now they're confused and thinking they're nuts. Because that's what society tells us is happening. You're just crazy. Well, here to tell you, they're not. So that's the difference between a contactee and an abductee. Now, this group in Washington here is more for the contactees. It's not for the abductees. So, again, we're back at square one. Because we need to find a team that will actually do a peer support for abductees. Now, the views and opinions of S4 do not reflect that of Spaced Out Radio. Spaced Out Radio is coming on here in exactly 1 hour and 20 minutes. Don't miss it. www.spacedoutradio.com. Run by Dave Scott in British Columbia, Canada. Best show on paranormal radio. We're an affiliate of theirs. We take basically the dark side of the paranormal and discuss it, research it, and bring it to you. Now, you can research the same stuff we're doing. Easy. Corey's been in the paranormal field for how many years?
Actual paranormal field.
I'm not talking investigating. I'm talking your first experience in the paranormal.
Since I was just a young kid. You know, probably 10, 11 years old.
So he comes to you bringing you the perspective of someone that's been in the paranormal for years. The investigator side, he's been in it for about a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Now, Forrest Moon Paranormal, what I'm bringing to you is 20 years military experience, UFO sightings, alien encounters, too many spirit encounters I can't even bring up, and other weird shit that I can't even explain, and Bigfoot knocks. And of course, Forrest Moon Paranormal has been around since 2006, unofficially. officially probably since about 2009, 10, when we actually got affiliation and nonprofit status and whatnot. Then we went dormant, and now we're actually nonprofit. Again, we actually got our paperwork back. So, as far as the UFO and alien side, the reason I'm so passionate about that is because, well, I've been in that field for over 20 years, since 1994, and my very first abduction encounter. I've never been abducted, but I met personally an abductee and dealt with their extreme trauma. And we're talking all the way down to a missing fetus, which is part of the hybrid program of the first, back in the 90s. If you really want to do research, look up Dr. David Jacobs' Secret Life. So this is a very informal show tonight. This is more testing until I get my internet functioning properly. Satellite internet does not work very well when you're running a radio show. So we've got Corey going to run the studio, and I'll be Skyped in from my house. Tonight we're at his house getting the studio set up. So, very informal. We're more. That's why we're kind of ranting about the paranormal, because our normally scheduled show is Sunday at midnight, and it's going to be, for some that have never heard about alien abduction, it's going to be pretty shocking and eye-opening. The last time we did alien abduction, the signs and symptoms, my co-host at the time, Eric Markham, was going, "Oh my God, I fit about 9 out of the 10 that you just mentioned." Now, if you fit some of the signs and symptoms of it, it doesn't necessarily mean you're inducted, because what you got to look at is the big picture. And with the big picture comes, I always recommend people, if you're having alien type dreams of flying, get you a notebook, put it by your bed. When you wake up, first thing, put down the date, the time, the weather, and a good description of what you just dreamt about. And then you watch for patterns. Are you only having these patterns once a week? Are you having them at a certain time of the day? Was it raining every time you had? These are things you look at. And the reason I always say the weather, I mean, it's easy enough for me to look at the weather forecast in your area, but it's better if you look out the window and say, yeah, it's really storming out. Because the storms can actually affect your dreams, be it through the energy that they produce, how your body reacts to a storm. My daughter, for example, is terrified of lightning. If she hears lightning while she's sleeping, it might affect her dreams, just for an example. So these are some things you look at. Now, I want to address something else. So we're doing wilderness survival and first aid training next Saturday, the 13th, if you're local, at the Grandy Lake Campground. And rather than me printing all this material out and wasting my finances and paper for the material, I just put them in the Forest Moon Library for everybody to download. If you can't make it to training, you still got the material downloaded. So when people started seeing wilderness survival stuff coming into our library, they're like, well, I thought this was a paranormal group. Why is there wilderness survival stuff in here? Real simple. We live in the mountains. We have a team that investigates UFOs, Bigfoot, in the mountains. And honestly, I don't know of too many people that don't want to learn wilderness survival for their own skill. So, if you got a problem with it, leave. That's just being blunt.
Wilderness survival is a necessity. It really is. I mean, how many times a year do you hear of search and rescue having to go out after some hiker or campers or just somebody deciding to go play around in the woods? Because people get out there and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what they're dealing with. They get lost, and then they don't have anything on them that can help them survive.
Let me ask you this, Corey. Have you ever watched Mountain Monsters or any of the Bigfoot shows?
Not really.
Okay. Well, anyone that has, when's the last time you seen any of them with a survival pack? Or even a compass, or even a, well, wait, okay. I think I saw one time with a bottle of water. But it was probably handed to him by his cameraman and the whole slew of producers that was behind him. So the point I'm making is, you got, again, paranormal groups that get their stuff off TV. Same with Bigfoot. You got Bigfooters. Oh, I saw Bigfoot on Mountain Monsters. Nah, I'm going to go up and find me one. Okay, in your khaki shorts, your t-shirt, and your bottle of water you brought with you. What if you get lost? You know, these guys that make this TV show, they have a whole slew of people and probably a paramedic. Because they usually do when they're up in the mountains, if they're even actually in the mountains. It's a film set. So, you know, on that note, yes. And with a search and rescue background and a 20-year military background, I'm a firm believer in wilderness survival. And being a combat medic, first aid. I'm not going to teach an IV, but I will tell you how to put on a tourniquet and how to stop bleeding and the basics. Because I'm not certified to teach, but I can sure in the hell share knowledge of the difference. So, with that being said, that's why we do wilderness survival training. And then in June, I believe we're doing alien abduction. We're doing some alien race information. If I can get Eric Markham, that might be the refrigerator, Christopher. Christopher's in the chat room asking what the background noise is, and I'm not sure.
Most likely, probably the refrigerator.
I'm sitting over here by the kitchen, and Corey's over in the living room. So, what was that? Anyway.
You're finishing up wilderness survival and going into some of the other stuff that we're doing here in the future.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, folks. It's been a day. And this is kind of a test show. Enjoy it. I know most of you, you're loud and clear now, by the way.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Okay. Put your headphones on and see if you can, how well you can hear me.
That makes sense. So, yeah, usually we don't have informal shows. Usually we're...
So how well can you hear me?
Talk again.
Can you hear me well?
Can't hear it all.
Well, Chris says he can hear me.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah. I changed my mic setting over here.
Okay, talk again.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's probably not. It's probably because of my settings.
Probably.
Studio.
Slowly working out the bugs.
Yeah, that's fine. We're working on the bugs, and again, I'm just gonna. And I can't even explain how to get in the chat room. So Bonnie, just listen for now. We got Bonnie and the Astro team that wants to be in the chat room, but yeah.
How are they listening? Are they listening on Spreaker?
Just Spreaker.
Okay. I don't have
So folks, if you want to join the chat room,
there's a little chat bubble, usually down at the bottom.
there's a little chat bubble. You just click on that and it brings up the live chat. So yeah. So again, the reason we're doing alien abduction again is I like to do it at least once a year. The last time we did a straight abduction show was last year. This year, however, we're going into the normal signs and symptoms. Probably a little bit of the history and the first abductees that came out. But based on the research I've been doing in the last 2 months, also some of the races, some of the 15 different races that are abducting people. And as far as they're concerned, some of it is for benevolent reasons. Some of it just flat out, you ain't coming back. That's just the bottom line.
Well, and we've seen so much lately that abductions and sightings of UFOs are on the rise considerably. And we're not talking about a small rise. We're talking about a steep incline straight up.
Oh, if you're in Forest Moon Paranormal, which I think most of our listeners tonight are, because I only advertise this show in Forest Moon Paranormal. But take a look at the video of the sighting in France of a very large, brightly lit cigar shape that actually shot balls of lights out of it.
Wow.
And then I also posted right above it where the Prime Minister of Russia actually came out and said, yes, there are aliens. I'm not going to make this political, but it's going to be political in a sense. But can you ever see Trump coming out and saying there's aliens?
No.
No. That ain't going to happen. Yeah. What you got to do? Build a bubble around America to keep aliens from coming here and abducting? No.
Well, and the biggest thing is that he's put himself out there as such a nutcase in everything he does. Nobody would believe him anyways if he did.
That might be why they put him in there.
It could be.
Because you can't tell me the government didn't know that the aliens are going to disclose themselves more and more. So the best way to hide alien forced disclosure is to bring a nutcase into our White House. Where if he says, I'm going to tell them there's aliens here, they're going to be like, go ahead, they think you're nuts anyway. So there's always that possibility. And again, I'm not sitting here bashing on anybody. Personally, I don't give a damn who you voted for. We're all stuck in the same mess.
And it is a mess.
And it ain't going to get no better. In fact, I almost say, come on, aliens, come on down. Because it can't get no worse.
Well,
I'm not going to wood, because it really can't. Let's talk, you know what, we open that door. If he does build a wall, here's what's going to happen. All that farmland that they're going to occupy with this wonderful wall to make you feel safer. Now your grocery bill's going to go up because that's a lot of farmland that those farms actually use to put into the grocery stores. So you make up your own mind. You want the wall and pay more for your groceries? Or do you want things to be the same because ain't nothing going to change because you're going to put a wall up?
No, and I've already seen reports of some of these farmers that are already looking to retain lawyers and go after the government because the fact of the matter is when this wall goes in, and some of these guys already lost some to fence that was put up, and now they're looking at losing a whole bunch more because of a wall. And these are the same people that voted for him. That's the funniest part.
And folks, believe me, I already have PTSD. I don't watch the news. I get pissed off just my news feed's on Facebook. That's all it takes. I don't even have cable in my house. Our kids watch what we control what they watch. And I don't have cable for the simple fact that TV is so stupid. The media is so corrupt. The media is one-sided. If you're a Democrat, you watch CNN. If you're a conservative, you watch Fox Farce News. They're all bullshit. So, I don't know what to tell you. What I do tell people is, you know what, I look out my window. If they say it's going to rain, I don't see no clouds. If they say there's a shooting in Denver, I know enough people in Denver to send them a message to say, hey, is there a shooting going on? That's how you find out the real news.
Another thing, too, and I was listening to this, actually, a guest on Spaced Out Radio. And he basically said that, things really aren't going to get any better in the media. He said, there is BS, but there's truth in some of it too. And he said the thing that you have to do is have the smarts to have the discernment of being able to look at a story across several different media outlets and figure out what's bullshit and what's truth. Yeah.
Where the line is.
Where that line is.
Yeah. And, it's the same thing with alien shows. It's the same thing. I'm not going to talk about ghost hunting shows. I already beat that bush up. But there is no truth to pretty much anything they do. Okay, some of the technology and crap. Woohoo! Yeah, anyone can get that. But as far as it's all crap. But yeah, you watch the news. I do see some news when I go to my parents' house every once in a while, and it just pisses me off. And here's what I don't care if you're an Obama fan or not. I voted for the man both times. I see the good things he did. Did he do anything bad? Only what you want to believe. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't do anything. Really, look at the country. And look how worse it's getting now. It wasn't because of Obama. And I'm not going to sit here and I almost said Trump off Obama. I'm not going to sit here and make him smell like roses, but he did get handed an 8-year mess from the Bushes. And he did the best of what he got with conservatives that were trying to block him on every front. Well, now we have an ass clown that's running the country with all Republicans, so he's not going to get stopped. You can sit and protest all you want. It ain't doing nothing. My point with this is recently in the news, Michelle Obama had the girls' education program for foreign girls. Okay, I can agree with the arguments people are making about what about the girls in our own country. I can agree with that. But what Trump did, everyone got up in arms over it, but he didn't shut that program down. All he did was take Michelle Obama's name out of it so she didn't get credit for starting a good program. Is that not racist? If you can't tell me that's racist, maybe look at yourself.
Oh, it definitely falls into that category. To be honest, I was surprised that the medical program didn't get shut down the first time around.
Okay, I'll explain my opinion. It's not fact, it's opinion. I think he liked the deal. In fact, if I remember right, I can't remember much, but if I remember right, he actually supported the Obama healthcare program. He's not going to shut it down because he liked it. He's going to take Obama's name out of it and make it the Trump care program. That's all he's going to do. And again, tell me that ain't racist. He's just trying to wipe the black man that was the president out of the history books. That's all he's doing.
Yeah. It's very funny because the whole time before this last vote, he supported the Democrats all the way. He was always behind Hillary. He was meeting with the Clintons. I don't know if I ever saw him meeting with Obama because I think he's basically just an old guy racist. But he was always hanging with the Democrats. he was always siding with the Democrats and what they do. And then just as he goes into the election, boom, he's on the conservative ticket. Supposedly he's completely opposite of what he was before. Just like that. Flip a switch. Kind of a interesting turn of events.
Okay. So, Ron brings up, the only reality is witch hunts. Well, it's funny you should say that. So, I haven't kept up a whole lot. Because here's the thing, Forest Moon Grove is the headquarters of Forest Moon Paranormal, and we are a pagan organization. So it's funny you mentioned the witch hunt aspect. And we're actually not going to make a pagan church like we had planned, because I really don't see him attacking religion so much as not as much as we expect. There's enough pagan churches in Washington, but actually in America, that we don't need to do it. We're going to focus on the paranormal. That's what we do best. But I'm trying to remember. I heard something about him attacking the LGBT community. I can't remember specifics, but I know, I keep tabs on the pagan community all the time, and one of our local pagan groups went and held a Beltane festival. Now, Beltane is May Day, May 1st. Yes, all of you that went to school and made little flower baskets in grade school, yes, you were actually celebrating a pagan holiday. Imagine that. Anyway, so they went to the Willow Park and they were holding a Beltane festival. And they actually, for the first time ever, had Christian protesters. And yeah, they did respond. They did the right thing. I'm proud of them. They kept it peaceful. The Christians didn't. Our own pagans did. Now the high priestess apparently had some very harsh words to say, as she should, because she's the leader in charge of their ritual. But there was no violence. There was nothing. I think security or something had to go in and address the issue. But, it's just funny you mention witch hunts, because, the day that day comes, I've got something for them.
Yeah.
Big time. But I don't see it happening. He's got the most corrupt, he was talking about draining the swamp. He just filled it up with corrupt religious bigots, is what he did. Anyway, you got anything more to say? We're still going for another hour.
Yeah.
But,
just for purposes of speaking here, since I have joined Forest Moon Paranormal, I have met several pagans that, you would never, by any means, if you were just to look at them, say, this person's pagan, or this person's this, or this person's that. Absolutely wonderful people. Probably the most forgiving, giving, just good people you could ever meet. Everything that Christians are supposed to be.
pretty much.
Yeah. And one of the things that I find interesting is that, Christians get so tight about stuff, and they absolutely forget about what their own book teachings are. I mean, they can't forgive. They want to be violent about stuff. They're just hateful about stuff when their own book teaches forgiveness and love. It is just the most frustrating thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah, to me it's beyond frustrating, because I was raised Assembly of God my entire life. I went to church every Wednesday night, every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, I went to Christian school my entire life. I went to Junior Area Bible College for a semester after high school. So I know what the religion is supposed to be. I never fit into that religion because you know when you go to a church that my parents are, and they still are Christian, and that's fine. We just don't talk religion. But you know, their only assistant pastor got put in prison for $50,000 for embezzlement of the church. Imagine that. So, yeah, and we won't even go into. I'm not even going to go into the Catholic side or the Catholics. Let's bring up a fact here. The Catholics are actually run by the reptilian race. If you want to bring aliens into it, aliens actually created religion to conquer and divide humans. So imagine that one. Again, go look up Dante Centauri and what he has on his videos will actually blow your mind. And I have a friend sitting on my lap now. Corey's God. and yeah, Christopher Fisher's in the chat room, and he knows more. We're going to do a show maybe in a month or two about the Order of the Black Swans. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of a taste of what's going to happen Sunday night, but 1034 AD was the first documented alien abduction of 12 girls from 3 different families in Italy. And what happened, 2 of the families after a while stopped looking. They gave up. But Felicia, the mother of one of the girls, said, "The hell with that, I ain't giving up." And she traveled. She took her son, and they looked for the little girl. They didn't find her. But upon their travels, they actually ran into some, I guess this would be the Dark Ages. Dark Ages. And they had merchants on ships, that came from other countries, and they were in the Middle East. And they described these visitors from the heavens who came down. And they were abducting girls from all over. She took this news, and she went back to her town in Italy, and told the other 2 families. And they jumped on board. And they vowed revenge to go kill aliens. And that started the Order of the Black Swan. Now later on, 2 more families who had their loved ones abducted and not returned joined forces. And we're talking, this started in 1034 AD and still goes on today. So we're going to discuss some of the 15 races. Some of them actually abduct to eat. Some of them abduct because they're interested in social science. They're interested in how humans react to trauma and terror. So we're going to go into all 15 of them. And then you got when I first started researching abduction back in 1994, the only race I knew about was the Greys. That's all everyone talked about. And I'm telling you now, after the last 2-3 months, the Greys are puppy dogs compared to the Mater and the Velash and the Rhodes. Now the Mater have an interesting history. I read I watched the history of the Mater, and they started out just like we did. Started out basically like cavemen, and they wound up killing the race that taught them. And the race that taught them worked for the gods. Now, I'm not going to get into religion again, but even the aliens will have a supreme being, and she is the goddess. She created the human race. She created many different races, aliens included. So when you hear about some of the contactees some of the abductees come on Space Out Radio, and they describe, even some of the channelers, they describe what the aliens say, in that yes, they do believe in a supreme being, and we believe in the same supreme being. You know, the original pagans, even paganism is corrupt. The original pagans believed in a goddess, a single form. Now, today you've got pagans that worship Dionysus and Odin and Ishtar and, you know, so on and so forth. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's how you treat other people.
I believe that the aliens just call it she, period.
She's different. I know who you're talking about. I know what you're talking about with the she is the one that's supposed to come between 2017 and 2022.
No, that's not what I was reading on it.
Okay.
Their supreme being, they just call it she. That's what I saw. And I think I saw that in the Alien Racist book and a couple other places.
Okay. Because if I remember right, in the comments of the ARB, there was something about the mater becoming she.
They said they would become the new she.
Yeah. Which means they plan on coming down here and taking over the planet, which they've been trying for millennia, for millions of years actually. They're always at war with the Anakim, with Christus, and I think the Pleiadians are actually allies of the humans. I'm not 100% sure. But folks, watch us guys. I mean, seriously. My next investment soon is going to be a telescope for the summer when it clears up, because there's crazy shit in the skies even here that we hear about. Now, I'm also working on more promotion for Forest Moon locally. I've actually got a Craigslist ad for household services, paranormal removal. So we'll see if that brings in any clients to help out. But we're working on it, and then we've got Paracon coming up September 23rd. Hope you can make it.
I'm hoping we can actually get a couple of more good, solid investigators for local cases.
Well, that's the other thing, is trying to recruit new team members.
It's hard to find good, solid people. You know, it always seems like there's some issues. You know, somebody doesn't have vehicles, or, you know, it's just, you know, kind of sort of a hobby to them, and they're just, you know, training they're just not interested in. It's like,
oh, then you got the weekend warriors.
Those two.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not even bashed on because I know people have to work 9 to 5, whatever.
That's me.
I just happen to be disabled to where I can run this full time, and that's what I do other than going to school. Now, we could take this show in so many different directions, but we're going to stay on track here. So I'm starting Homeland Security on Monday. That'll be Max course. I failed algebra, which they always say. Actually, I didn't fail. I got a D, which is technically failing. It depends on if I actually have to have my algebra for this course, for this degree. If I do, then I have to take it again.
Algebra sucks.
It does. It does. And what sucks is, okay, I got a 68.90. That's just like a hair from a C, which is passing.
Yeah.
You know,
the thing,
but it's okay.
The thing to understand about algebra is not supposed to make sense. If you can process that, you can pass it. But you have to realize that algebra makes no sense, and it's not supposed to.
Yeah, but when you have the choice of A, B, C, or D, and you have to pick one of them, and none of them makes sense, and you pick the wrong one, then you fail. Anyway, so I have constitutional law coming up in June. That's going to be a cool course because I'm going to sit there and tear this government apart based on the Constitution. And that's going to be so damn easy. Too easy.
Well, it is now. Didn't
No,
used to
it-
be.
Okay, so I was taking political science during the actual election back in September, October is when I took political science. And it's funny as hell because when my mate, when Izzy was taking political science a couple of years ago with Ashford University, she was the only, I guess you would say, liberal, Democrat, whatever. We don't think like the norm. But she had the conservatives bashed on her because she didn't like Trump.
Oh, yeah. We're good at that.
And so, when I took political science back, last September, October, it's funny because even my professor, who can't show bias, they can't, they're professors. But even he was, yeah, I like your points, And then when I took the domestic international terrorism class, the professor and I saw eye to eye, which was cool. But folks, it's a sorry state of affairs our country's in today. And are the aliens going to fix it? So, the rogue. If you see a shadow and it's wearing a hat, and I'm not trying to be funny, 'cause it's not funny,
No.
but if you have a shadow figure and it's got a hat or a cloak, you might want to move away. Just for the time being until we can get in and check it out. That's supposed to be what the rogue appears as. Now, with the rogue, they were responsible for the battle over Los Angeles. When our military was shooting at a light in the sky in the 1950s. That was the rope. That was their craft. We didn't do anything to it. They also had a base under the ocean, which they have a base under the ocean off the coast of California. Too bad Joe's not here with his pointy sticks. But they also have a base had a base off the coast of Italy, and now have a base off the coast of Germany and France. They're spreading. Now, if you look at the picture of the maimed body of the Black Dahlia, and you compare it to the bodies from Jack the Ripper, you'll see they're the exact same. Now, did Jack the Ripper go to L.A.? No. That didn't happen. But that's one, and I know there's 11 billion theories about who Jack the Ripper was. But that's just another theory to throw out that maybe it was the rogue. And they're still here, and they actually have rogue animals, which are shadow animals. If you're in the woods and you feel the presence of something malevolent watching you, that is part of what they do. And the hat they wear is not actually a hat, but it is actually the device that makes them able to appear as a shadow. Same with the cloak. They're not actually hats. Now, if you actually have a shadow that's wearing a hat, it might just be an entity wearing a hat. You never know. What can you look for? I have no idea. This is all new to me, too.
Well, I would think it would be something to do with the sense of it. You know, if you got a shadow passing by that's got a hat on and you don't feel anything with it, it's probably just entity with a hat, that died with a hat on. But, if you got a shadow passing by with it looks like a hat on and you feel like you about to crap yourself, that might be something to look for.
That might be a rope.
Yeah.
And actually, apparently the ones that are in the know call them the rogue, and the ones that don't know what they're called just call them shadow. Shadow people.
Yeah.
Also, something to watch with kids. And I'm going to pull this document up actually. We're having a lot more cases involving kids, which is kind of why I addressed this in the group. But I'd like it to spread. I can't spread it locally for the simple fact that, well, I'm already kind of seen in this community as the crazy guy that believes in aliens by some people. And I don't need that affecting my kids. Oh, yeah, your dad's that crazy guy that goes after UFOs. Yeah, it's kind of hard on kids that go into school. So I do have to keep kind of hush-hush when it comes to the school, when it comes to other parents, that kind of thing. Not all people can put two and two together who I am in the community. Some of them do. But that's fine. Because my kids know about aliens. My kids know about Bigfoot. My kids know that if they see something under the bed, they go to daddy. There's a lot of kids that don't know that. They tell their parents there's something under the bed. Their parents laugh and say, yeah, you've got just an overactive imagination. Go back to bed. Well, there might be something under the bed. You don't know. Because too many people don't listen to their kids. So I'm going to go over my list. If you want to add to it, by all means. I can't think of everything. But number one is pay attention to the details your kids are saying. If it's an overactive imagination, hey, at least listen to them. Because there might be more to it. You just don't know. And pay attention to art, drawings. Imaginary friends is a big one. And waking up with marks. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, my kids are 5 and 6. They wake up with marks all the time. Is it paranormal? No, they're 5 and 6. They hit each other. They scratch each other. They fall down. I'm talking about repetitive marks. Is it happening every night? Are they different marks every night? Just pay attention. And if you have a question about it, write it down. Start a journal. I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but journals are important. Documentation is important. If you didn't document it, that's one of the medical things. If we didn't document it, it didn't happen. So, document. If you have to fill up 10 notebooks about what's going on with you, by all means, you might want to write a book. But
Right.
these are important things. And on the Forest Moon side of it, anytime, we'll get into that in a second.
Documentation is one of those things that pretty much falls across the board. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with, whether it's spiritual ghostly, it's alien UFO, Bigfoot cryptid. You know, the big thing is to get it written down, make notes, keep a journal, keep all of this stuff together, because it's the patterns that you're looking for over anything to help you figure out what you're dealing with.
Now, and also, I'm going to go into the criteria that we, what makes an emergency? We'll go into that after I get done with the children and the paranormal. But what I wanted to bring up, anytime we get a case, I'm the case manager. I do triage. Now, what's triage? Triage is French for sorting. We do triage in the Army when it comes to medical, again. But basically, is this guy dying? Is this guy... You triage your patients so you know who to treat first. Same thing, we take that the same way with paranormal. We have a list that we go by a protocol. So the first step, you send me a message, I get a phone call, I get a text message, whatever I get an email, whatever the case is, I'll look for a certain set of patterns to figure out, is it a haunting? Is it abduction? Because sometimes you can't tell the difference. I just know what patterns to look for because I've done it for a while. But then we're going to send you a questionnaire. The questionnaire is about 9 pages, but it covers everything. And I'll alert the astral team. Now with the astral team, it depends on, there's certain criteria of whether I'm going to use the astral team or not. Astral team is always going to be used, whether we're going in a case locally or if it's in Australia. Um, so the first thing we wait on, I'll let them know there's a case coming down the pipes. Here's the kind of the basic details. We're not moving until we get that questionnaire back. And that's what gets the ball rolling. Now, okay, back to the children. Nosebleeds when sleeping and dreams are also important to watch for. Why nosebleeds? Okay, nosebleeds are an abduction sign. But nosebleeds could also be dry air. It can be high blood pressure. Now, there's a whole wide array of things it could be. But if it goes with the same set of patterns, those are things to watch for.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things is, if you're running into physical issues like that, is, make a trip to your doctor. Get yourself checked out. Make sure you don't have a health problem. Don't immediately assume that you have something paranormal, because you could find yourself in trouble. Get yourself cleared first. If the doctor says, hey, we see there's something going on, but we have no idea why, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with you, that's when we need to start looking at paranormal options.
And that goes with psychiatric, too. I'm not telling you to run to a psychiatrist. That's not what I'm saying. But we actually have a psychiatric outpatient clinic here in our state that isn't seeing psychiatric. She's seeing something else going on with some of her clients. And that's where the paranormal field and the psychiatric community need to work hand in hand. We need to work parallel. Because on the paranormal side, we are seeing psychiatric cases. There's nothing going on. So that leads us to believe psychiatric. After medical is ruled out, obviously. But if it's not because of marks, if they're seeing something or they're hearing voices, that leads more psychiatric if we haven't found anything there paranormal. So what's cool is in this particular case, she's actually got clients that aren't having psychiatric issues, but they're still having issues that aren't normal. So we're getting paranormal issues from her clients. I wish there were more psychiatrists out there that thought like that, because we'd help a lot more people. So in art, you want to watch for monsters. Now, not just monsters in general, because kids watch movies, they write monsters, so they don't know how else to explain what's on their mind. But, it could just be symbolic of what they don't know how to explain, but again, watch for patterns. Patterns and other signs are everything. Sudden fear of a closet, a room, an animal. Not something from a movie they watch, but a constant fear, and ask them why. Communication is also everything. Okay, so with abduction, you'll talk to adult abductees that were abducted as children, and the grays will come to them as owls or deer, because they have large eyes. They can mask themselves as these things, but they can't hide their eyes. They have big eyes, so they'll appear as a deer or an owl or an animal with large eyes. So that's why there's things you want to watch. As far as the closet, most kids are scared of the closet anyway, but if they weren't before and all of a sudden they are out of the blue for no reason, might want to look into it. Voices. Do they tell you they hear someone talking but you can't see? And did this happen suddenly? Then there are the subtle things. Do your kids know a relative's name in a picture without you telling them? Or have they talked about a place or event without having been there before? These are things you want to document as well. These could be either past life events that they're remembering, or a spirit's telling them. Because how do your kids know it's Aunt Gertrude and they've never met Aunt Gertrude? And you haven't talked about Aunt Gertrude since they were born. Things to look for. So in art, I want you also to pay attention to drawings or even imaginary friends who have red eyes. Not always a bad thing, but these are things you want to document because the red eyes are actually a part of the V-lash hybrid. Not necessarily a V-lash hybrid because they're trying red eyes, because they might just have a red crayon around, they couldn't find another color. Or it could be an entity with red eyes. Not all It's not just V-lash hybrids that have red eyes, but that's just one of the things that's come up. So in poltergeist cases, pay attention to whether there are teens or preteens in the home, as hormonal energy is what causes a lot of paranormal energy as far as poltergeists go.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, is that generally about the puberty stage is what causes a lot of poltergeist issues. And usually, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but usually on the female side of things more than anything was where a lot of poltergeist stuff comes from. One of the things that I wanted to mention too is that it's been theorized that kids up to about the age of 10, 11 years old usually are still open-minded enough to where they will actually see spirits and other entities kind of before, kind of people beat it into their head that that's not there and they can't see it.
So, something we're also working on that's actually coming up. It's this, it's actually going to be starting in a week or two, and we got Bonnie and Donna from the Astral team. They'll be running this. I'll be mediating to an extent, but they're the actual educators, and we'll actually be. If you're interested in a class on paranormal protection, on shielding, on it was originally when we started this program, it was geared for kids. We were getting consent forms and whatnot from adults. But for kids that are gifted or kids that are having issues, and all of a sudden we had an influx of adults that wanted the same class. So we're opening it up to everybody. But you need a request on pre-investigative questionnaire. Just fill out the appropriate blocks, and in the comments put down what kind of training you want, and we'll go from there. Then we're going to set up a Facebook chat, put you all into it, and we'll do this twice a week, 3 times a week, where we'll have education. I like the Facebook chat for the fact that you can add files to it, things like that. Easy platform to use. So in conclusion, with the kids, keeping that open door of communication with your children, knowing your children, and letting them know they can talk to you about anything, and taking what they say serious is the best way you can help them. Yeah. That's the bottom line with that. So I'm gonna go over real quick because we are running out of time. It's been a good show, even though we had technical issues. I think we got a lot of good information put out, and I want to explain what constitutes and why do we call ourselves an emergency response team. So the criteria that fits a paranormal emergency to us by our protocol is any cases involving kids or pregnant women. Now, can you tell me why we'd include pregnant women in that?
Well, because they're highly vulnerable, for one. Yeah. And they're carrying a child.
They're carrying a child, and you have spirits that will come to take the soul of the child. These are lower level demons, generally speaking, but you do have malevolent entities that will take the soul of the baby, and they will miscarry. That's what happens. That's one reason. Second reason is, like you said, the pregnant woman is already vulnerable. Do you want the added stress of a paranormal event to add to the stress of being pregnant?
That can cause you to miscarry.
That's the other reason. Again, any cases involving kids or pregnant women is number one, and it's not going to be in that order. But if we do get a case, if it's a toss-up between the first two, it's going to be the kids and the pregnant women. Number two, any cases of physical attack, poltergeist activity, or severe activity. If your family is terrified, then that hits emergency protocol. Number three is any active UFO sighting, lights in the sky or landing sites. And that includes alien abduction. Are we going to investigate why you're missing? Probably not, because search and rescue might get mad.
Yeah.
But you come back, then yeah, we'll be there for you. Number four, again, anything involving alien abduction is actually up there with number three. Number five, anything with active cryptid hotspots, i.e. current sightings, These are what I determine emergency situations via triage and protocol. And like I said earlier, basically we get the phone call. And that's why I get pissed off at other teams, because about 90% of our cases, our clients are terrified. They're in tears and don't know where else to turn. They're desperate. And about 8 out of 10 of those cases, they've already had another team come in. And that other team came in. And they took a nice little picture and got their cool EVP and said, bye. Or, in another case, they got terrified because they didn't expect to actually see something. Oh my God, God forbid they didn't tell us on TV that was going to happen. And they ran out. This client can't, she tried calling and, now what? What's she supposed to do?
Right.
So, and some people think I'm an asshole, so I beat up on, but that's why. Because there should be no reason, if you're claiming to be a paranormal investigator team, that you should go in and be able to know what to do to fix the problem. Not just get your cool picture and your sweet sounding EVP, because you know what? Everyone's got one. You're not the first. And why are you going to go to a hotspot? You know how sick I am of hearing about Waverly Hills? The first team that went in there probably 20 years ago or longer than that got an AVP or a picture already proved that spot or all the other hot spots is haunted. So why are you going there? The only time we go to Northern State, that's for training. That's not to investigate. That's to show new members, here's what an EVP sounds like. Here's what a picture looks like. Here's how it feels to be in a haunted location before we take them to a client's house.
Here's my take on some of this stuff. So, hotspots. 2 reasons for a hotspot. First one you touched on. Training. Absolutely. That's perfect for training. The other is just for the enjoyment of going and visiting. If, you're a person that's into paranormal, if you want to go there just to enjoy, to see what's there for yourself, perfect. You're not doing it in an investigation to prove there's something there. That's been done. You're going there to enjoy yourself. It's okay to admit that. Secondly, is I appreciate the way we do triage. We do it in some cases 2 phases. The first phase is when the stuff comes into you and you triage it. Is it emergency or not? Okay. Emergency, we work with it. We get the Aster team to go in there right away. We get stuff taken care of. Non-emergency stuff, which is nice. We've got a client who's got activity. Nobody's being attacked. There's no real any problems. They just want, I got some stuff going on. I'd just like to know that I'm not going back crazy. Okay. We have got a case manager that handles those, that will set up with the client for us to come in at a convenient time. That's not an emergency rush, to go in, find out what's there, and once we have that evidence, then we can sit down with that client, which is, here's the biggest thing that a lot of these paranormal groups are missing, is now you go back and you sit down with the client and you say, here's everything we got. This is what we found. How does this line up with what you were going on? And now, the most critical point, what do you want us to do?
Right. Exactly.
Do you want us to remove this? Do you want it to go away? Do you want us to show you how to do a cleansing so that you can do that occasionally just to keep anything that's a little funny out? Do you want us to just mediate? Talk to the spirit and say, hey, don't scare the dog. And maybe both of you'll be happy living together. And that's kind of that critical point. And I wouldn't say that you're an asshole about it. Even the other night when I was listening to SOR, Dave had a group on that was part of a group called TAPS. Okay, and they were following these guys. Now the worst part about this group is huge. They are huge, and they're influencing a lot of the paranormal investigators out there because so many of them want to join up and go, oh, yeah, I'm part of TAPS. Well, the problem is that TAPS's thing is going in and doing just that. Getting their picture, getting their EVP. They're not going to remove anything. They're not even really going to suggest maybe how to remove it themselves. They're just going in there to say, hey, you're haunted. Well, great, Jack. We already knew that. And that's the biggest problem right now is that you've got really huge groups, big names that are teaching people the wrong way to do it. Because the whole point of being a paranormal investigator, and it's actually twofold. Anybody who says that they don't do it for a certain part of themselves to answer questions is lying. Okay? We all do it to answer some questions because we want to know. But the second part of that, and probably the most important part, is the client. Making sure that they feel safe and that their problem that they're having is taken care of in one manner or another. And I can't emphasize that enough. Is a paranormal investigator's job is to help the client. That's the only reason we're there.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And yeah, going back to the TAPS group, their own protocol is not to help the client, just to get the evidence and not even necessarily show the evidence to the client, but just to get the evidence and leave. And that's the wrong answer. And like you said, we either, and I want to clarify, spirits don't have to be passed over. If a spirit, we have a spirit right here in Concord that he's 22 years old, having the time of his life and living in a bar. He's not causing any problems. In fact, he's watching out for the women because there is a negative entity or a negative spirit in the same place. So why would we pass over a spirit? Because we get asked that too. Because what makes us the boss as far as forcing spirits out? And that's a good point. But spirits don't have to be forced out unless they're causing major issues. Because a lot of times, once they understand that they've actually died or passed on, I always use the example of the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman. And I'm not here to make a spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, but that's a perfect example of how a spirit sees you. If they don't know they've passed on, you're the intruder, not them. So you got any closing comments? Because we got to wrap this thing up. Everyone head on over to Spaced Out Radio, www.spacedoutradio.com, coming on in 15 minutes. So I'm giving you time to get that coffee going, get some cigarettes made, and get ready to sit down and listen to Dave.
Yeah, indeed. I tell you what, Dave has got one of the best shows in the market. He's grown from probably 3 or 4 listeners when he first started, and in the last year he's gone from maybe a couple thousand up to 150,000 or something like that.
He's at 200,000.
Yeah, pretty close.
160 countries around the world.
Yeah, he's grown considerably, and he's grown considerably because he runs a professional show for sure. I mean, he's spot on. He works, even when he has a guest that isn't very good, And we've all heard those guests. We're going, oh, poor Dave. This sucks.
Well, he
But-
he plays the media role very well in that he stays as unbiased as he can.
He does, you know. And occasionally, you know, when he hears some BS, he'll call it, you know, and he'll give a person an opportunity to explain.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he toes that line, and he does super excellent well. And I mean, even guests that aren't very good still want to come back on after they're done. It's an amazing show.
We won't say no names, but yeah. Anyway, closing music, and we'll talk to you all Sunday. Unfortunately, I don't get to listen to Dave too often because, well, Forest Moon's got about 4 or 5 cases a day, and between school and that, yeah, we're busy. Anyway, y'all have a good night, and talk to you Sunday.
Good night.